God has plans to prosper you, give you hope and a future too. So let me remind you of what you have the power to do.
You've been on a journey, trying to find your way. Like the sun, you're rising, 'cause today's your day to unlock every gift inside. Let your potential flow. Don't let anybody kill your vibe. Time to bust up and show. Gotta keep on reaching, keep believing. Act like you know you can win. Live your dreams, reach your goals. Be happy, you can make it. Get motivated with Cassandra. We've got wellness, church by phone. You don't even have to leave your home to be inspired. To rise a little higher with Cassandra. They said you never make it, but you're still here. Kept on pushing through all your doubts and fears. Never let a hater see you sweat. Remember who you are. When they go low, let them reap what they sow while you go far. Gotta keep on reaching, keep believing. Baby, shine like a star. You can win, live your dreams, reach your goals. Be happy, you can make it. Get motivated with Cassandra. If you got haters, they gon' hate. Keep your head up and just be great. It's your season, your winning season with Cassandra. Rise up, time to get on your grind. Go after your dreams, no time to fall behind. Push till the end and never give in. It's your winning season, get ready to win. Keep moving forward and never look back. It's time to get motivated with Cassandra Mack. You can win, live your dreams, reach your goals. Be happy, you can make it. Get motivated with Cassandra Mack. We've got wellness, church by phone. You don't even have to leave your home to be inspired. To rise a little higher with Cassandra Mack.
If you always have to gear up for battle and protect yourself around a particular so-called friend or family member, then that relationship has shifted from connection to protection. And this is an important indicator that a relationship is unhealthy, is negative. When you find yourself constantly going into self-protective mode around a particular person, especially if you don't do that with everybody, and there's one particular person that you always find yourself having to go into self-protective mode. Let's talk about why this happens. So when you're around someone who is chronically negative, so-called friend, family member, and there was a time where you were able to get along with that person, but as you began to grow, as you began to level up your life, and this can be any area, growing mentally, emotionally, spiritually, leveling up financially, hitting the gym and creating an aesthetic that people are not used to because they were used to the old version of you. So whatever area of your life where you are leveling up, sometimes what happens is people will become uncomfortable, and it's not always the things that you can see externally. People can have an issue with your peace. This is something that goes so unnoticed. Just you being a peaceful person disturbs other people's demons, and they will envy your peace. They will envy the way that you are able to bounce back after challenges. And you don't let a challenge keep you down, even if you got knocked down for a moment. People can be envious of your resilience because what took them out and made them give up on life and just kind of go through the motions of life, but they're going through the motions bitter and miserable, did not make you bitter and miserable. Even though when you look at it in the natural, you had every reason to be bitter and miserable, but you chose to reclaim your joy. You chose to find gratitude in the small things. There will be people who will be envious of that because they can't put their finger on how you're able to be so grateful, so joyful, so resilient, so perseverant as it relates to your goals and your dreams when they kind of just giving up and they're going through the motions, bitter, angry, and mad. So when you are around someone, there's a reason why you feel the need to go into self-protective mode, especially if you're not like that around other people, but this one person triggers that in you. And so oftentimes what's happening is they are triggering your natural stress response, the body's natural stress response, which is the fight or flight. Well, I call it fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. Most people say fight or flight. But there are 4 responses to stress, not just 2. So fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. So some people come out fighting, and that means you are ready for whatever. Some people flight, you just want to get away. Some people freeze, you're like a deer caught in headlights, and you feel immobilized, not knowing what to do. And some people fawn, go into people-pleasing mode in order to keep the peace. And so when an individual is triggering one of those responses in you, it is for a reason. And usually is because you are picking up on the fact that that person is behaving with you in a way that is unhealthy. Energy doesn't lie. And it can be draining and harmful to your mental and emotional health to constantly be around someone who brings negativity, who is dismissive of you, who is constantly trying to pick fights with you, who wants to argue with you all day, every day about insignificant things. That's very time wasting and draining, and it takes a toll on us mentally and emotionally. And so here are a few reasons why you might find yourself going into self-protective mode. And it's important because it means that that relationship has shifted from connection to protection. And when you always have to protect yourself, it's kind of like you're in a psychological war zone. So number 1 is emotional self-defense, right? Toxic people can be emotionally draining. And so when you feel the need that you constantly have to keep your guard up, you can never share anything good happening in your life. That's part of emotional self-defense. There are certain people that I'm that way around, that I know I can't share the good in their life. And these are not people that I actively seek to be around, but it can be a situation where we happen to be in the same vicinity because of the mutual people that we may know. And there will be times where you may find yourself keeping your guard up, that you are guarding your heart, right? And you're not sharing your goals, your dreams, your happy moments, because you know that they're not going to rejoice when you rejoice. You know that they're not going to celebrate with you. Not only are you not sharing your happy moments, you're also not sharing your personal struggles because you know that they don't give you grace. They don't have empathy for you. And so that is telling you something about that relationship. And if you are going in self-protective mode, you are doing the right thing. You are protecting your peace, your joy, your mental health, because there are some relationships where you can't totally never have contact with someone. There are times where you can absolutely go no contact, but there are times where you have to go low contact and you have to manage that relationship. I call it hater management. And so that can be a coworker where you work in the same office, your desks are right next to each other. And so you're going to see this person. You may even have to speak to them if you share a client or you're working on a project together, but you keep it very professional, civil, but you are not chatty Kathy or chatty Sam, and you're distant, but you're civil, you're professional. So a second reason, so emotional self-defense was the first reason. The second reason is avoiding manipulation. So you know your people, right? We all know our people, meaning the people that we come into contact with, whether it is a so-called friend, and not your friend, but it could be someone who's part of the friend group. Whether it is a family member, you're going to visit your mother, your grandmother, your grandfather, whoever you're going to visit, whatever family member, and you can't control who comes to their home, right? That's their home. And at the time that you're going to visit or you're going to a family gathering, that person may be there. And even if you opt out of family gatherings because you don't want to be around that person, you could live in the same neighborhood as someone where you're going to run into each other at the grocery store, at the supermarket, or again, a work situation where you may have to talk to that person because you're working on a project together and it can't be avoided. So a lot of times what happens, number 2, is you're avoiding manipulation. So when you're around highly manipulative people, and they are trying to control you. They are trying to control the situation, control the narrative, right? When you go into self-protective mode, you are protecting yourself from falling victim to their manipulation, because you already know that they're manipulative, even if other people can't see it. You know that a question with them, 9 times out of 10, is never really just a question. Have you ever had somebody like that? They ask you a question, but just by the way that they ask, you already know that the question is not a question. It is a trap to pull you in to a nonsensical, never-ending debate, to get you to divulge something personal that they can weaponize and use against you, to get you to say something that will reveal your goals and your dreams, so that they can then say something negative about what it is you're trying to build. So you've had enough experience, whether it's personal experience with them or watching what they do to others, to know when you're dealing with a manipulative person. And so you may find yourself staying guarded, guarding your heart, because you're protecting yourself from falling victim to their baiting traps. Third, you're preserving your boundaries. You're preserving your personal boundaries. And so when you're dealing with a toxic person, when you're dealing with people who are highly manipulative, people who enjoy creating chaos, division, a perpetual gossip, right? Oftentimes they disregard other people's boundaries. And so when you keep your guard up, when you are in self-protective mode, you are maintaining your boundaries so that they don't overstep the boundary. And so you may find that you have a boundary that says that you need a little space. Let's say that's the boundary that you said. You need a little space. And you know that this toxic person, even though you said you need a little space, they're going to call you nonstop, regardless of how much you said you need space. But you protect your boundaries by letting the call go to voicemail, by blocking them and saying, you can call me all day, every day, but you are not going to speak to me. You will be speaking to my voicemail. And so you are maintaining a boundary, but that's also telling you something about the nature of that relationship. 4, you're protecting your mental health. And so think about in the natural, right? In the physical. If you were constantly being exposed to a poisonous gas, at some point it's going to take a toll on your physical health. You're going to have symptoms. It might affect your breathing. It might give you headaches. There are going to be physiological symptoms related to exposure to physical toxins. And so the same thing happens with spiritual and psychological toxins in the unseen realm. And so when you are exposed to nonstop criticism that's toxic, when you are exposed to nonstop belittling, when you are exposed to nonstop one-upping, over time, if you are not mindful, it can begin to take a toll on your mental health, contributing to stress, anxiety, and even depression. And so when you are cautious around these people, you are actually protecting your mental health. It's kind of like putting on a hazmat suit in the spirit. So you are putting on the whole armor of God so that you are protected from their toxins. So you know that a toxic person, right? It's like going into a cave where there are toxins, right? So the cave doesn't stop emanating toxic gas just because you walk in the cave. So you already know what you're dealing with. But because you are aware of that, if that is your job, you're going to put on the hazmat suit. You're going to put on protective gear from head to toe, and you're going to handle yourself very carefully because you know you have a job to do. And so sometimes you are dealing with someone where you know you have a job to do, whether the job is to drop groceries off for your mother, if it's a sibling, whether the job is to finish a project that is due by the end of the week with a coworker who chronically gossips and is nosy and want to be in your business to spread chaos and negativity and drama at the job. So you know the people that are in your orbit. And so when you find yourself having to put these things into place, it means that your discernment is kicking in, right? Because avoidance is not always the answer. Sometimes it's just not possible. There are times when absolutely, if you can avoid a headache, you want to avoid a headache at all costs. But there are times where you're going to see someone like a workplace. It can be a boss where you cannot avoid your boss. And you're going to have to figure out, how do I manage my mental health while I'm here until I choose to put in my resignation and leave, until I choose to do that. And then last but not least is self-preservation. Self-preservation is the first law of nature. And so toxic people can be so cruel that keeping your guard up is simply an act of self-preservation. It shields you from their emotional wounds. So this doesn't mean that they stop being toxic. This is where people get it twisted. What it means is even when they're being toxic, what they're saying or doing can't penetrate you. It's like the hazmat suit. So you can be in an environment where there are toxins, but because you are suited and booted, so to speak, from head to toe and everything is covered, it can't penetrate. You're not breathing it in. And so even if somebody says something negative, like that's such a dumb idea, that your idea was so dumb for the ABC project at work, because you already know that they're going to come at you with their insecurities and envy because they're upset that you are spearheading the project. You know that their words mean nothing. And because you don't value their opinion, that's the key. You don't value their opinion and you're not looking for validation from them. You don't care. And so that is an act of self-preservation. So these are some reasons when you find that you've had a connection with someone and the relationship has shifted from connection to protection. And sometimes you never had a connection. So let me also give that side. Sometimes right off rip, there's no connection with that individual. You sense their energy is off. You sense that the vibe is off. You sense that behaviorally there's more going on than what meets the eye. And you instinctively know that you need to move with caution around this person. So sometimes there's never a connection, and the relationship, be it work relationship, family relationship, or someone in the friend group, moves immediately into protective mode. And oftentimes, again, you will try not to be around that person if you can help it. But in instances where you have to interact with that person, you are going to do that. And so we're getting ready. For those of you who are doing the soul fast, we're getting ready to dive into the component of the soul fast, days 31 through 40, where we are focusing on section 4 of the soul fast workbook, where we are fasting from toxic people. And days 31 through 40 leads you through that process of fasting from toxic people. It leads you through the worksheet. So as you're going through the worksheets, for those of you working from my Soul Fast workbook, doing the Soul Fast with us, if you started on Wednesday, March 4th, you would be up to day 29 today. And so that means on Wednesday, you will be on day 31. If you're a little behind, that's fine. I'm always going to say it's better to do some of it than none of it. Even if you find you've only got through half of it, it's still better than nothing. So it will still give you pause to begin to just kind of reflect on the ways that you can minimize negativity that might be detrimentally affecting you. And so as you go through section 4, where we're reevaluating our relationships, really begin to look at who are the people that I had to move from connection to protection. And as you're doing the worksheets, do a run through on those worksheets of those people so that you can really figure out how to best maintain yourself if you have to interact with that individual. And in the workbook, you have prayers, you have scriptures, you have very specific tools that will help you through that. It's the Soul Fast workbook. And I'll attach the video. I'll link the video so you can see the Soul Fast video for those who will be joining late with the Soul Fast. But you got to know that when you're moving from connection to protection, you were doing so because instinctually, spiritually, instinctually, and intuitively, you are sensing, noticing, deciphering, and perceiving that that person poses a threat. Whether it is a threat to your mental health, a threat to your emotional health, a threat to they're trying to pose a threat to your job. So you know you can't really share ideas with them because they will take your ideas and pass them off as their own. So it'll look different for each of you, because remember, when I'm making these videos, I'm not talking to one person because there's many of you I don't know. So I'm talking generally to the general public, and you will select what works for you. And so be mindful of that. And as you're doing the worksheets, for those of you doing the Soul Fast, who are the people that you have gone into protection mode? And so I want to give you a scripture that really drives the point home, and it's Amos 3:3. Amos chapter 3 verse 3 says, "Can two walk together except they be agreed?" And so the reason why you are sensing, perceiving, noticing, deciphering that you and this person can't do life together, even if you have to interact with them, meaning you're not choosing to do life with them. The reason you're sensing that, right, is because you're sensing you're not in alignment. Amos 3:3, can two walk together? Walk together means journey together. Can two journey together? So they're not part of your journey, even though you may have to interact with them. It is not someone who you're walking with in shared purpose, in shared destiny, in shared goals. And so begin to think about that. And also think about who are the people that you are very clear that you are not equally yoked with, right? So the Bible talks about do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers, right? Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. And this is a really helpful scripture. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 6, verse 14. This is a really helpful scripture in really deciding, who do I want to do life with? There might be people I have to interact with, but we're not doing life together. So an example is when you're at the post office, you have to interact with the people at the post office, but you're not doing life with them. When you're at the supermarket, you have to interact with the cashier, but you're not doing life with that individual. You are courteous, right? But you're not doing life, meaning they are not involved in your personal conversations where you are talking about deep-seated things for the most part, unless there's a friendship. So 2 Corinthians 6:14 says, do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers, for what has righteousness and wickedness have in common, or what fellowship has light with darkness? And so when you're not being yoked to unbelievers, we can also apply this to people that just don't share the same values as you. Now, within this context, it's talking about people who are not followers of Christ. But you can also apply this to people who don't follow the same code of ethics as you. And so when you follow a code of ethics where you are kind, where you are generous, where you are not out here trying to hurt nobody, where you are a person who extends grace and mercy to people, where you don't maliciously gossip and try to down people, but you're around someone who's the opposite of that. All the things you don't do, they enjoy doing. You don't have any fellowship with them. What fellowship does righteousness have with wickedness? You have nothing in common. It says, what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? You have nothing in common with that person. So if you're coming from a righteous space and they're coming from a wicked space, you have nothing in common. But when you have to interact with them, you have to be guarded. And so this is why you will find yourself moving from connection to protection. Or if there was never a connection, you're just going straight into protection. So do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers. Now that yoke comes from farming, because in agricultural societies in old biblical times, farmers would have two animals that they would yoke, meaning tie the rope. They would yoke to a plow, and they would the animals would pull that plow to a designated plot of land for the purposes of planting seeds so that they can grow crops, whatever it was going to be. And the animals could not be unequally yoked. So if you had a baby animal with a full-grown animal, the full-grown animal is going to be doing the lion's share of the pulling because the baby can't handle the weight of the plow. If you have two that are the same size, but one animal is pulling, while the other one is just standing there, it's going to take double or triple the time to be able to complete the task of clearing the land. If one is pulling in one direction while the other is pulling backwards, it is going to hinder progress. And so the analogy is the same when we're doing life with someone, when we're choosing to spend time and be around. I'm not talking about people you have to interact with and you are managing those relationships. You're managing difficult people. But I'm talking about the people who you choose to have as friends, right? The people you choose to fellowship with. And so do know that everybody you're not going to fellowship with. And just because you're a believer doesn't mean you have to be friends with everyone. You can be courteous, right? We're not called to be mean and nasty. So good morning is courteous, but it stops there. You're not trying to be chatty Cathy, get in their business and tell them all your business. And so for those, again, doing the Soul Fast workbook, begin to assess, are there people who I've moved from connection to protection? And why do I feel like I have to go into protection mode every time I'm around them? What is it about the way that they're treating me that is making me feel like I am unsafe, psychologically unsafe in their presence? And so begin to jot that down, particularly as you're going through the worksheets in the Soul Fast workbook, because that's going to help you. For those who we never had a connection, it was always protective mode. And so if that is the case, then just think about, what are you doing to make sure that you have self-care in place? What are you doing to make sure that you are not letting them pull you into their craziness, that you are protecting your peace when you absolutely must interact with them, and it cannot be avoided? I would encourage you, if you're not a member of the Wellness Club, that is going to help you with your self-care. And so the Wellness Club is one of the features of being a member of the Cassandra Mack YouTube channel at the Wellness tier. So when you're a member of the Wellness Club, what happens is we have conference calls that happen the first and third Wednesday of every month. And we focus on mental self-care, emotional self-care, spiritual self-care, workplace well-being, even family dynamics, navigating difficult family dynamics through a biblical lens, and it is cheaper than therapy. If you look at what the cost of therapy is, therapy can be upwards of anywhere from $250 to $400 for 1 hour. And in our group conference calls, they run about an hour, sometimes a little longer. And you have an opportunity to ask questions, which doesn't happen in the public videos. You have an opportunity to also share your challenges, your experiences, and even your successes, the things that you're doing that are working, that's relative to that topic on that day. We open up the floor for people to come up to the mic, so to speak, relative to that topic on that day. We stay on topic. So for those who are interested, you'll see a join button and a link that will take you to my channel membership. But remember, there are more than one tier. So you want to make sure, if you want the wellness calls, you got to join at the wellness tier. Some people join at the introductory tier, and then they wonder why they can't access the wellness calls because you didn't join at the wellness tier. So the wellness tier is the tier, or the leadership circle, for those of you who are entrepreneurs, is the tier that's going to give you access to the wellness calls. And if you're a member of the Wellness Club, anyone listening, a member of the Wellness Club, how has the Wellness Club helped you, benefited you? Let people know in the comments, what are the things that you're getting out of the Wellness Club? Definitely let people know in the comments. So I want to make sure you know about that. I always want to make sure that you know what we have outside of the public videos, because the public videos just give you a fraction, a very, very small fraction of the depth, breadth, and width of the teachings. If you want deeper dives, if you want tactical step-by-step strategies, that's going to come with the Wellness Club. So I want to make sure that you know that on the last Saturday of April, I'm having a Zoom workshop, and it is called How to Read the Room with Spiritual Accuracy. So if you've ever walked into a room, and when you walked into a room, you got a funny vibe, or the vibe changed when you were interacting with people and you were like, what's going on here? You definitely want to make sure that you know how to read the room spiritually, how to begin to sense the atmosphere that you're walking into, so that you never walk into another room unaware and unprepared. Maybe you were at a job and you were ambushed, meaning you had an ambush meeting, and you were like a deer caught in headlights. How do you begin to sense that an ambush is coming so that you are prepared and not caught off guard? You got to know how to read the room. So the Read the Room workshop, happening last Saturday in April, is happening by Zoom. It is a ticketed event, so you need to purchase a ticket for those who are interested. And it comes with a workbook. So you have a workbook, which is really great, because the workbook allows you to continue your growth beyond the workshop. So there are exercises in the workbook for you to do during and after the workshop, so that the growth doesn't stop once you leave the workshop. It's interactive, and you will have an amazing time. It's not videotaped, so a lot of people ask, do we videotape it, and can I purchase the videotape if I can't come to the live? It's only live. We don't videotape because oftentimes people talk about things that are very personal, and we want to create a safe atmosphere. You are required to be on camera, so if you are camera shy, then my workshops that are on Zoom won't be for you. I don't want you to waste your money knowing that you won't be admitted if you're not on camera. So that is a consideration that you want to think about if you're camera shy. So you'll see the link in the video description box. When you click on the link, it's going to take you to the Eventbrite page, and you will see in the FAQ section. I would encourage you to go through that. Take the time to do your due diligence. you will see the workshop expectations, so you can make sure that my workshops are for you before signing up. So I want to let you know about that. Also, the Spiritual Discernment 101 workshop, backed by popular demand. A lot of you were not able to get into the one that we had in March. So it's going to happen again in May 17th, which is Saturday, by Zoom. I'm going to also be doing the Spiritual Discernment 101 workshop. That also comes with a workbook. I'll leave the link in the video description box so that when you click on the link, you can see everything that the workshop is going to cover. And that workshop, in a nutshell, is really about how do you sharpen your sixth sense? How do you train your power of discernment? The Bible talks about training your powers of discernment in the book of Hebrews. So how do you begin to train your powers of discernment? We know that discernment is both a gift from the Holy Spirit, but it is also a power to be trained according to Hebrews chapter 5, verse 14. And so how do you train that, right? Like if you had a gift for playing the piano and you naturally were inclined at the age of 5, 6, 7, 8, you would still take lessons to train that gift so that gift is now powerful and that gift is empowered. So again, you'll see the links for everything I'm talking about in the video description box so that you can find out more information. And I would also encourage you, get the book Rise Above the Haters. So if you're not ready to take a workshop, if you're not ready to be a member of the Wellness Club, but I would really encourage you to do so because that's an investment in yourself, then you may want to get the book Rise Above the Haters. So that's a workbook that's going to help you do just that. It's going to help you keep rising, shining, thriving, moving towards your goals, regardless of who doesn't want to see you win, regardless of who won't clap for you as you're moving forward towards your progress, regardless of who doesn't want to see you shine. That book will really help you rise above the haters. And if any of you have the book Rise Above the Haters, let me know in the comments, how has that book helped you with hater management, with dealing with the haters, the naysayers, the dream slayers, and the perpetrators in your life. So let me know in the comments. And of course, in the comments, we want to keep it positive because that's what we are about here. So if anyone comes to the comment section with your unhinged craziness, do know that my team will delete and block your comments. So you can knock yourself out, but it's only going to be blocked and deleted. So with that being said, keep yourself safe. Let's be kind, but let's also take our common sense with us. God bless you.